Hey guys, hope you're all keeping well during these bizarre and challenging times. Myself, like probably many of you, have found things a little strange and sometimes difficult during this lockdown. Some of you who've been watching my videos and following me throughout my kickboxing journey over the last 3.5 years may already know that I suffer with an anxiety disorder, more specifically social anxiety. So, in this short video, I just want to talk a little bit about anxiety and what it's like for somebody who suffers with an anxiety disorder, and also share some of the ways that I manage it and basically keep myself sane, especially through these difficult times. So, anxiety is something most people will experience some form of anxiety at some point during their lives. It is something that will happen to most of us, especially during stressful times, such as now can be pretty stressful for a lot of people, or if there is a big event that's about to happen, especially something that's going to be quite life impacting, something like sitting exams, starting a new job or a new school, or moving home, for example. So, some of the feelings associated with anxiety tend to be feeling tense. You can feel worried. You can perhaps even feel fearful of something. And that's all pretty normal for most people when they do suffer with anxiety. However, people who have an anxiety disorder, the anxiety is, and those feelings that come with anxiety are disproportionate to the situation that they are in. So, for example, a few years ago, when the anxiety that I suffer with was at its peak, at its worst, I really struggled with busy places. I still do to some extent, but not quite as bad. So, for example, if I was in a busy train station or a busy supermarket, and the anxiety set in, I would feel as if I was having a panic attack. Start sweating, my heart would be pounding, and what is commonly known as fight, flight, or freeze response would kick in. So basically, that means a lot of people would either want to, if they were in that frame of mind and they're experiencing that kind of anxiety, they'd either instinctively want to either fight or flee, the flight part of the response, or just freeze. For me, it was more commonly flight. I just needed to get out of that situation as quick as possible. And when it was at its worst, I remember having to, turn down. It got to the point where I was having to turn down social invitations to, parties or just any kind of social gatherings, just because I was feeling so anxious beforehand about attending these events, and my mind would start over analyzing, overthinking things, and almost like trying to predict some of the potential, some of the possible bad outcomes that would potentially make me look foolish, which may or may not have happened, but because of the anxiety, I'd had it in my head that if I go to this party, this could happen, that could happen, and I'm going to look like a fool. So a lot of the time, I would end up, declining an invitation. I ended up basically just making an excuse, giving a reason why I couldn't go, and then sit at home watching Netflix for the rest of the evening, probably regretting the fact that I didn't go, because deep down I knew that if I'd have went, I would almost certainly have had a great time and enjoyed myself. And then things like, I would often skip classes at university, or I prefer to work from home and things like that. So I did feel as though I was missing out on quite a lot of things in life back then. But it did get to the point where I eventually went and spoke to my doctor, and I was prescribed various medication. which the medication basically just, it's only a short-term solution. It basically just masks the effects of anxiety. So that kind of racing heart and those, kind of shaking as if, as if you're in a really scary situation, which is all irrational because, what is it to be scared about in a busy train station or in a busy supermarket? It's unlikely that anything bad is going to happen to you, or it's unlikely that any harm is going to happen is going to come to you. But that is just how things are when you suffer with anxiety. So medication was only short term. I did try cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, which I know it does work for a lot of people. It didn't really work for me, but what I did take away from it is it certainly opened my eyes regarding I discovered the need to kind of force myself into these uncomfortable situations that I knew would trigger the anxiety. So things like I knew that the longer I stayed at home and avoided situations because I knew anxiety would kick off, I knew that the longer I did that and stayed at home, the worse the anxiety would get when I eventually did have to go out and face these situations. So I knew I needed to I had to just, grab the bull by the horns and do this and face these situations. And then I discovered martial arts. So one day I plucked up the courage to finally attend a beginner's session of martial arts classes at a local martial arts academy. It's something I'd been wanting to do for ages, but just didn't have the confidence to do it. So one day when my anxiety wasn't so bad, I plucked up the courage and actually went for the first class. And I did a video on this 3 years ago when I first started training kickboxing. Anyway, cut long story short, turns out I absolutely loved it and still do love it. So this is 3 years and a few months on. I've slowly progressed through the ranks, through the grading system, and worked my way up the different coloured belts. I've now worked my way up to a red belt, which is fantastic. Certainly not an easy process by any stretch of the imagination, but what I will say is it was so much fun. It definitely wasn't as scary as what I thought it would be that very first time when I walked through the doors of that martial arts academy. Definitely wasn't as scary at all. Everybody was really friendly and really nice, and it really helped ease the anxiety. It didn't help overcome it, or it didn't help it. I mean, it didn't help it go away permanently or anything, but it definitely helped ease it. So what I realized was when I was at the academy training, because I was just so in the zone, training, learning these new techniques, I kind of forgot about everything else around me. And, I wasn't thinking that people are looking at me, that people are judging me, just forgot about all of that bullshit. And just because I was just in the zone, focused on the task at hand. And obviously, the physical benefits of training martial arts, but I honestly do believe that there are mental benefits as well of training martial arts. In fact, it's been scientifically proven that any form of exercise is good not only physically but mentally as well, and that's partly down to the chemical hormone, the endorphins that are released in your body when you exercise, which make you feel good. So martial arts has definitely helped ease the anxiety. Mainly kickboxing that I train at the moment, but I have tried other martial arts over the years. So I went through a period of training jiu-jitsu, really enjoyed training jiu-jitsu, but then had an injury and had to kind of take a step back from that for a short while. And I do keep saying I will get back into it, but I will someday. And MKG, I started training MKG several months ago. Really, really enjoyed that. But kickboxing will always be, I think, the number one martial arts for me, the one that I enjoy the most. I'll try the others, but I'll always end up going back to kickboxing. If I can only go to one class a week, for whatever reason, then it would be, if I had to choose, it would be kickboxing. So yeah, so that, like I said, that really helped ease the anxiety, and things were going fine. And then obviously this happened, the coronavirus pandemic, and the whole world is locked down, which obviously means that we can no longer get out and train at the academy. The gyms are closed. You can't get out and socialise with friends and family. You can't go out for a meal or go for a couple of drinks. You can't go walking. One of my other favourite pastimes is just heading out up into the Scottish Highlands and climbing a Munro, or doing some hill walk, just doing something. I I really find that beneficial as well. Again, not just physical health, but also for mental health as well. But obviously, this is a necessity, and by staying at home and only going outside for essential food shopping and medication, and going out for an hour, going outdoors for an hour exercise each day, has definitely stopped the spread of the virus and saved countless lives. But obviously, being cooped up indoors and only being able to get out for very short, very brief periods, I was concerned that the anxiety may start to creep back, and I was a little worried that I would end up right back at square one 3.5 years ago, before I took up martial arts, and basically undo all of that hard work. So, how did I prevent this from happening? Well, the main way I prevented anxiety from creeping back in, and to keep myself well, not only physically but also mentally, was just to try and keep some kind of structure in my life, and create a new routine. So rather than getting up early for work each day and having to drive to work, I was fortunate enough to be able to work from home, continue working from home, and I do feel really, really fortunate to be in a position to be able to do that, especially because so many other people have lost their jobs, or been furloughed, or whatever. So rather than getting up on the morning and driving to work, I just basically forced myself to get up early each day, the same time that I normally would, get showered and then start work, and then go to bed at a reasonable time, and just try and keep that kind of routine, because I can see how easy it would be to just think, oh, I'm working from home tomorrow, I'll just stay up late and watch movies all night or play video games all night, and then not getting out of bed until later in the day. And I really, really didn't want to fall into that kind of routine, because I knew that that wouldn't be great for mental health by leading that kind of lifestyle. So what I did was created a workspace in my house, which was basically a desk with my computer in a separate room. So I'd go to bed the night before at the same time that I previously would when I had to commute to work. I would get up, get showered, go to my office, and start working. Take a proper lunch break, as I normally would, and then when I finish work, I can then go and relax in the rest of the living space in the house, as I normally would, and chill out on the couch, cook dinner, watch TV, and all the rest of it. So that was really important for me to kind of to keep that structure and stick to it, and keep that, create a brand new routine. Well, not a brand new routine, a similar routine, but instead of commuting to work, obviously I was just popping into the spare room and working. But also in terms of exercise, obviously the academy's closed and the gyms are closed, so we can't go places like that at the moment. But we can get out for 1 hour a day for exercise. So I would utilize that, and if the weather was decent, I would go out for a long walk. I would go out jogging. If the weather wasn't so great, I would do some shadow boxing in the house. Maybe watch some kickboxing training videos on YouTube. And then the academy that I go to for training, they had very kindly set up a Zoom live session every night with the instructor, going through various drills and various workouts, and then you would basically follow along, which is actually better than just watching pre-recorded videos on YouTube, because you have that kind of sense of belonging, because you know that you're doing this at this time with a bunch of other people, and you're all doing this together. So that does actually feel good. But obviously, it's shadow boxing in your own house, and there's only so far you can go with that. I was lucky enough; I did manage to persuade another person who lives in the same household to hold the pads for me once or twice, and just quickly went through a couple of drills so they knew which way to hold the pads and things like that. So that was good fun. You know, hitting the pads. But I think the other person soon got a bit bored of that. What else? So I did. So I also purchased a mountain bike. So the outdoor time, the time that you're allowed outdoors, that was really good. Being able to get outside on a mountain bike, and there's a park not too far away from me. They have a really cool mountain bike trail with a green, blue, and red trails, depending on how advanced you are at mountain biking. So that was quite cool to get into mountain biking as a beginner. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. So if anything, that's kind of encouraged me to do that. So that's another thing that I've now kind of got under my belt in terms of things to do, exercise and things like that. And I have to say, mountain biking, I absolutely loved it. It's brilliant. It's another one of these things that I stumbled across martial arts and realised I loved it, and now I've come across mountain biking, and I love that. Still early days, but it's similar to martial arts. I can definitely see the physical and the mental benefits from just getting out on the bike and going for a cycle. It's so refreshing and invigorating. So once the restrictions are eased, the lockdown's lifted a little further, it would be cool to get out and do some more mountain bike trails. But like I said, it is just trying to maintain some kind of a routine, and I, like everybody, we all miss seeing friends and family, but I did manage to have the occasional group video chat on WhatsApp with family who live down south, so I haven't been able to get down and see them since before the lockdown. So that's cool. It's really nice to hear their voices and see their faces in real time, as opposed to just a regular phone call. But like I said, just keeping active as well has really helped, just in terms of mental well-being. And the academy that I go to plans for the future, once lockdown has been lifted, and we all still need to keep our distance, social distancing. As far as I'm aware, the academy that I go to are planning for the time being. They are planning on just having one-to-one, almost like personal training classes, which means that that's going to vastly reduce the amount of classes that I can attend, because obviously they've got so many other students and they need to try and have one-to-one PT classes with them. But it will be a lot better than doing nothing. But yes, that's pretty much how I've been keeping myself active and trying to avoid that goddamn anxiety from creeping back. Anyway, I feel like I've waffled on for far too long now, so I'll let you guys go. Take care and stay safe.